What's going on, y'all? It's been a while since we did a podcast episode. We are back. We try to keep at it, doing it weekly again, and we'll do it for a season. I'll try to have a official ending when the season ends, but it seems like the past couple of years, right? Summertime has just been crazy for me, and it's been crazy again. So we're finally back. Podcast is back. YouTube's been cranking, though. If you go to the YouTube channel, go to makingitwithchrisg.com and you'll see a link to the YouTube channel there. Just go to the YouTube channel. We got all kinds of videos and little mini lessons and things like that. So definitely try to keep the YouTube channel going, and we're going to try our best to keep the podcast going as well, because there's a lot of amazing people out there, a lot of amazing musicians and people that are keeping in touch with the podcast. I've been joining the Patreon, and I need to show y'all some love, right? Bringing the podcast back. And today's guest is actually me. The guest, Jakobi Bonner, a really amazing, smart, talented kid. He reached out to me, who was a student at Rollins College, and I guest speak at Rollins College. I've been speaking at Rollins College for the past few years, once a year, with Mr. Chuck Archer, Professor Chuck Archer, and really, really great professor, really great school. And Jakobi was a student there. He was a student of Professor Archer, and he reached out for a project that he's doing on the music business. And the project was focused on record labels and on how record labels and just the industry overall, right, can be more inclusive, more equitable. And this ended up being such a fun conversation. He recorded a conversation, and I know some of you that really know me, that when you hear me use the word equitable, I'm like, why is Chris using that word? He's a hardcore libertarian, right? But this was such a fun conversation, and I feel like there was definitely a lot of things said that people hopefully hear and should hear. I really want to share this conversation and this message with people. This was a very organic, natural conversation. He interviewed me for his project, and that wasn't planning on using the content for anywhere besides his project that he's turning in for school. And I enjoyed the conversation so much that I asked Jakobi if I could use it for the podcast as an episode, right? So we're going to throw this definitely on the YouTube channel, and we will add this also to the podcast. But if you want to get in touch with Jakobi, if you're watching the video version, here's his Instagram channel right on the lower third, but it's also instagram.com/KOBS.21. He's a student of the music business, and he's also a professional basketball player. He's gonna be playing professional basketball in Europe, which is really, really exciting. Reminds me of my good friend Slim Cutter from New Orleans, Louisiana. Shout out to Mr. Slim, really good guy too. If you want to collaborate with someone from New Orleans, with another hip hop artist that's just really well talented, really connected, knows the industry really, really well, right? So this is a shout out episode, but just excited to be back. Just excited to have another podcast and have the podcast back and just share this conversation with Jakobi, with all of you. So please take a quick second to subscribe to the podcast, whether you're listening to on audio or if you're on the YouTube channel. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the notification bell so you get a notification every time we drop some valuable knowledge on the YouTube channel for all of you. And leave a comment on the video. If you have a question or want to connect, want to engage, leave a comment there. And if you want to learn how to make a living in the music business, of course, join us on Patreon, right? Patreon.com/Making It Academy. And it's specifically for artists, managers, promoters, and venues. And we have quite a few of all of those worlds on the show or on the Academy. But it's a great opportunity to network with other people, get to know other people that are going through similar issues that as you might be dealing with, or trying to learn similar things that you're trying to learn. And we just go really deep on how to run ads, and a show literally will go in and we'll build an ad for someone. So it's been really fun to do these workshops. And at the $10 level, you get access to all the recordings of the workshops. At the $20 level, you get access to the live workshops, and you get to hang out with me and all the amazing people in the Academy and ask questions and work through issues. So it's been a lot of fun, and I feel like it has a lot of value for just $20. So hopefully y'all join patreon.com/Making It Academy. Or if you like the YouTube channel or the podcast, you can chip in $1 a month to help me do this full time one day, because I want to do this full time. But anyways, thank y'all so much for listening and for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this really fun conversation with Jakobi Bonner.
Live the life you love.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, doing well. About yourself?
You're good.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Yeah, appreciate you making time. I'm so sorry if I've been bugging you or everything, but I know you're a busy guy.
Yeah, it's a busy time right now for me too. I'm at a point where I need to expand the business, but just can't afford to just yet. So it's like I have way too much on my plate and I need to hire an assistant, but I can't really completely afford a full-time assistant. So I have like someone working like 10 hours a week for me right now.
Yeah. No, I definitely I've done I was talking with like Chuck Archard, that was my professor, and like he was telling me like a lot about you and everything like that. And so like I obviously was just amazed like everything you got going on and stuff. So I completely understand that you got it going on. But I'm excited too, because I've been like I followed some of your podcasts and stuff. Okay. I actually was able to talk to a couple of those people, or I reached out to a couple of them and everything like that. So I'm excited to chat about some stuff and everything like that, and get your insight. We don't have to be too long either. It'd be like 30 minutes if even, or so like that. So
you said you have a UK number?
Yeah. So I'm currently, so just a little bit about myself. By the way, are you cool if I record the conversation and if it like, and I document it within like my paper? It's a final dissertation paper.
Totally fine.
Okay. Yeah. So I currently, a little bit myself. So I went to Rollins College. I graduated from there in 2020. And then I came out to England to finish my master's degree in business management and marketing. And so for like my final dissertation, like it's a pretty big project. So I was like, why don't I do something I'm interested in? So I figured like, I'd combine just like my experience, like African American, also just with like my just general just love for the like music, and especially in the music industry. And so I decided to do it on the topic of like ethical like maltreatment and everything like that against Black artists from labels. And so that's pretty much it. So I just been interviewing people with like knowledge about the industry and just want to hear their insight and everything, and just talk about music really is everything it is. So
awesome. From over there?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
When do you graduate from over there?
Literally, the dissertation is due in like 2 weeks, and then I should be walking in January. I should find out like November, but walking in January. So pretty much I got like 2 weeks before I'm done. So I'm like in grind mode right now.
Then are you gonna come back to the States, or are you gonna stay over in Europe?
So I'm about to sign to a professional basketball team in London. And so I'm literally moving to London. I live up north England, more near Scotland. But I'm literally about to move to London on Monday. So it's been like a hectic time for me too. I've been like traveling and stuff and like trying to like get my schoolwork done and like training. And so so I understand like completely that it's just been like, it's been good times, but it's a good busy, it's issues, so, but yeah, so I don't know when I'm coming back.
I see the shirt. It says student athlete. So you play basketball?
Yeah. I played basketball at Rollins for 4 years. I graduated from the Masters Academy in Oviedo. And then I played at Rollins for 4 years, and then I decided to come out here because I was at Crummer doing my MBA, but then my coach wasn't going to pay for my last year there, and so I was like, why not go overseas? Because master's degrees are a lot cheaper over here, and so I figured I can do that, and so like play basketball and stuff, and like try to find opportunities to do that. So that's why I decided to come out here and everything.
Cool. And are you playing like pro basketball in England, or?
I was playing like for my college team. The season got canceled because of COVID, so now I'm getting ready to sign like a professional team here. Awesome. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's exciting. Well, I see a lot more people, like more and more, going to Europe because it's, of course, the NBA is a dream, but it's so hard and so competitive. You're talking about like, just to get to college, you already have the best in the world, and then it's like the 1% of the 1%. Like it's insanely hard.
And that's by like luck and because there's guys that like should be in the NBA that are out here in Europe. Like it's like nearly impossible. So that's why it's like you got to be realistic with yourself and just kind of like take it as it is and pursue, you're going a different way and find out what you're passionate about, So
and thankfully basketball is hot in Europe. So
it's definitely it's a different style and it's fun. A lot of people love it here. So I'm excited, just to be living and everything. So
very cool.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'll get right into it though and everything like that. And I'll find out a little bit more about yourself, like through the questions and everything. But like, tell me a little bit about yourself. How many years of experience you have in like the music industry? Like, to just tell me like, just a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to get into it.
Sure. I've been in the music industry since 2006. I was actually a pre-med student at UCF. I was going to go to medical school. And with the whole like medical route, you either go research-based or like community outreach like based. So I was more community outreach person, and I worked a lot with the homeless and at-risk youth here in Orlando. And I've been a music fan my entire life. I mean, my first concert was when I was 10 years old. It was Guns N' Roses at the Frankfurt Soccer Stadium in Germany. And ever since then, I was like, hooked.
Oh, that's insane. Yeah.
I used to we used to have like a pretend band in Germany, like where we blasting music for 5 hours and just like pretend that we're the band playing the music. And in high school and college, I would go to as many concerts as I possibly could. And I had a friend I would go to all the concerts with, and we tracked all of them. And 1 month we went to 23 shows. And that was, going to that many shows, I mean, that means we're just going to mostly local shows. So we just got really involved in the local scene.
Yeah.
Concert, and that's like part of my mantra now. I just go see shows, meet people, make stuff. You do that. When you're really involved in the scene, people are gonna recognize you. I mean, I was even working in the scene, and I would go to shows, and people would recognize me. Just shows all the time. So putting this first concert on was easy. So like what I did is I really wanted to scratch that itch, putting on a concert before I go to medical school, and it was called Rock for Hunger. There's still tons of information about it online, but it was called Rock for Hunger. Was the first one. We ended up doing that for 6 years on an annual basis. The first one was at UCF, trying to raise money for. I'm trying to remember who we raised money for. It was I know it was Care International, and I think the second one was Food Bank. So we wanted to like focus like globally and locally. So it was like a catchphrase back then, like like focus local, impact global. And I was like, I want to impact local and global. So we raised money. And then, I got hooked. From there, I was like, don't want to go into medical school anymore. I just want to do this. And I started promoting some of the artists that played the first one. And we continued doing Rock for Hunger on an annual basis. I started booking this really small like bar in Orlando, in downtown called Central Station. Now it's called Staggering. I don't know if you've ever seen that big place. It's on the corner.
I don't think I've been there. Okay.
It's on the corner of Magnolia and Central. So it's like right Wall Street. And then the third annual Rock for Hunger we did at the Plaza. And when I walked into the Plaza, and I've been there once before, and what I loved about it is that it has multiple rooms, right? So it has like they had the big room and a small room. And back in the day, the small room was identical to the big room, just a smaller version of it, but not more like a conference room. So we did a concert there in a big room, small room, lobby, and outdoor. We had 3 or 4 stages at the venue. So that's the whole vision of it. And when I went there, the not the owners, but the GMs, like it was like partner, 2 guys that were like the GMs of it. And they did some research on me and noticed I did a lot of shows. And at the time they were doing mostly community theater, like Little Shop of Horrors and Christmas Carol and things like that. And they asked me if I would be interested in doing more shows there. And I was like, sure. So the first show I booked there was a band called Soja. I don't know if you're into reggae, but so it's SOJA. And it was the most money they've ever made at the bar. And they're like, wow, how do we do more of this? Like, can you work for us full time? And I was like, yeah, like, okay, but we can't really pay you. Like, you have to work shows so we can pay you show pay, but you don't really have to work the show. You can just sit in the office during the show and like work. And I was like, all right, cool. And eventually it turned into a salary job, and like a really good salary too. And I was the first ever talent buyer for the Plaza Live.
That's dope.
There for 4 years. My big goal there, I mean, I knew there's only limited growth potential there, but my big goal was to get it on the Polestar top 100 list for top 100 clubs worldwide. Got it on there 2 years in a row. And then the other big goal is to win best music venue in Orlando, which we did by the Orlando Weekly, which we did once while I was there. And we also did the Orlando Sentinel as well, best music venue. So we beat, House of Blues, Hard Rock, the Social.
That's nuts.
So it was exciting. And then I left.
What year was this that you guys won this?
This was all between, so I started there in 2008, so it must have been 2010, 11, 12, I think.
Damn. That's crazy.
Within 3 years.
Yeah.
Then I went to House of Blues and worked for Live Nation in New Orleans. I was a talent buyer there. They had 2 rooms there at the House of Blues, a big room and a small room. The small room was called the Parish. So I was a talent buyer for the Parish, a 370 cap room. And then before I left, I got to book a few shows in the big room, which was Future and the 1975 and Jason Isabel. Those are the 3 shows I booked in the big room. So diversity, but really cool shows.
Nuts.
And then I guess it sucks because it doesn't suck, but I left like a dream job because I missed my family so much. So I left the job and I came back home, and I started teaching because I didn't know what else to do. And I didn't know if I will stay in the industry. So I started teaching at Full Sail, started teaching music business over there. And then my wife was based in South Florida though. So every week I would drive. So I'd leave Tuesday mornings, work at Full Sail Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then leave Thursday night and go back to South Florida. Like every week I did that commute. And
wow.
I really wanted to go like work in South Florida so we can be together full time. And a job opened up with AEG, and I started working for AEG Presents for 2 years as a production manager, working anything from their club shows to arenas, amphitheaters, and even like, give me a giant open field and it has nothing in it. It's just a blank canvas and put on a festival in there. So it was a cool experience to be on that side of it.
Yeah, that's creative. Yeah.
And then I got laid off because of COVID. March came around and all of our shows canceled. Then all of our April shows canceled.
Yeah.
In June and July. And then they're like, you know what? We don't know when we're coming back. So we're going to lay off a bunch of people because we don't need to pay people that are working when they're on shows.
Yeah. It's, happened to a lot of people.
So then I just fell back on what I really know to provide for my family. I had a kid last year in 2020.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then so to support him and my wife, like I had to do something. And the only thing I knew is the music business. So I started managing. And it's weird because I have such a promoter history. I always skip over the management part. But I didn't manage before, like while I was at Full Sail teaching. I managed with this management company called Ever 7 Management. And we co-managed with Exact Deputy, who plays 200, 250 shows a year. And now that since I got laid off, I started my management company, just working with a couple of local independent artists, and then just kept in touch with that manager I worked with. He just kept a close friendship and everything. And now, and he knew that, I wasn't teaching in the summer, so I would have 0 income in the summer. I was like really worried. And he's like, I'd love to hire you for marketing for us. So he basically just gave me a job because I needed work. But he also build out his management company. So now he hired me part-time as his digital marketer. So I'm doing that and have my own management company, my own management clients.
Wow, that's phenomenal. It's funny because like I was just obviously like doing my own background research on you and everything like that, and like your story it really took me because like it just like you always hear like that the ideal of like following your passion and everything like that, and like that's what I get from you in terms of like the interviews you do with people, like everything done from like teaching. I'm sure like we actually Full Sail used to do our networking for our sports athletic department at Rollins. So I met like a lot of the students. So you're pouring into the students. Yeah. So it's like, that's what I love about your story. So that's amazing to hear. The question I had is just like a lot of people in the music industry, I saw like they're doing like virtual shows and stuff like that. Like what sort of pivot have people done to kind of like to still bring it? I mean, I know it's really hard, but what are some of the other adjustments that a lot of like shows like concerts promoters have done to kind of like accommodate for like a lot of the financial losses?
Sure. So before I answer that real quick, because you sparked the thought, we said about following your interests. And that's one of the big lessons I tell my students. I was like, if you don't know where you want to go, just follow your interests. Because when you always follow your curiosity and scratch an itch, even when you're working full time and you have a job and like you're going to school and you're about to go basketball professionally, like if you have an interest or an itch, like it doesn't need to become a full-time thing right away. Like spend an hour or two a week on it and just explore it. And then if after a month or 90 days, like you feel like, okay, this is not really a thing, then just move on to the next thing, or you're really into it and just keep exploring, because you never know what opportunities come from that, right? So that's another big like mantra I have. But
it's great.
How's industry adjusted? It's been toughest on promoters and venues, of course, because they can't do shows. Artists had to really pivot into building an online digital business, which I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's more doable than ever before these days. It's amazing when there's platforms like Twitch and you only really need 150 hardcore fans and you can make $50,000 a year on Twitch with just 150 fans. Like you don't have to chase thousands or millions anymore. You can just have a few. I mean, imagine that 300 fans that are giving you $10 a month on Patreon. That's $3,000 a month. That's $36,000 a year. It's not rich living, but if you live in an area where it's cheap to live and you're doing music full time, I mean, it's
doable.
So I think artists have a big advantage of being like able to manage their business online. For promoters and venues, my big thing for them is they need to figure out other ways to generate revenue besides their events. So they need to adopt with or change with the times, evolve with the times, because that's what our whole industry is about. It's always about evolving with the times.
Well, and that's one of the questions later I had too. Yeah.
And COVID's going to be around probably forever, like, or some version of coronavirus is probably going to be around for the rest of our lives. So we need to figure out how to work around it. And if there is another lockdown or something, hopefully not. But if there is, then we need to figure out how to still stay in business and not lay people off, not shut our doors. And I think venues and promoters figure out how to create an online business as well and create other revenue streams through digital means. And I have quite a few ideas about that, but before I go into that tangent.
No, that's amazing. Yeah, man, that's we gotta chat another time. But it was funny, Dr. Arkard, he sent me a video. He sent me like a bunch of like different sources, and just like a lot on music, but also just like people just talking about like marketing and like marketing evolution and like futuristic thinkers and stuff. And one of the things this guy said that stuck with me, this is like kind of off topic, but he said like there's 3 people that respond to COVID in 3 different ways. There's the people that just like complain about it and are kind of just like waiting for life to get back to normal. There's the people that kind of they adjust quickly because they realize it's going to be around, so they adjust quickly and figure out how they can approach it and everything. And then you have the people that are the opportunists, the people that are like, okay, like what sort of opportunity can I see out of this? How can I improve or whatever? And it stuck with me because I was like, who am I out of those people? Like, how do I adjust? That's just life. I mean, obviously COVID's different and a lot of this stuff sucks, especially being over in England, like the restrictions and stuff. It kind of hit me being from Florida. Oh my gosh, it's been insane. And like even just the rest of Europe, I got denied from a flight. A couple like I had to like miss 2 flights and everything on Monday because like it was. But yeah, I was like, what sort of how have I responded to that? So it really was like thought provoking and stuff. So that's interesting that you said that and everything. So
would you figure out which one of those three are you?
It depends on the day, but I would say like for the most part, like when it first started, I was definitely like waiting to get back to normal, but I was like, hey, like what can I learn out of this? So I started reading like books on like financial, financial like wealth and everything like that, how to control my finances better. With basketball training, I was like breaking into courts and stuff like that, like still trying to get training in and get better. Like, so I definitely like saw it as like a way to as like a one up to others and everything. But it was definitely, I think, there's some people that just like, I know one of the guys I played with, he's like he works in the medical industry, and he ordered like a bunch of masks from China or something like that in March. So in late March, he's selling these masks to people, and like he generated I don't know how much revenue. So I'm not on that level yet, but definitely in terms of like it's life, it happens. Okay, how can we adjust? I mean, it's just like basketball, a team throws, something like that or whatever, you got to do to adjust to it. So.
If you wanna grow as a person and as a human being, I mean, human being person, like the same thing. But if you want to grow as a person and become smarter and more resilient, no matter what hits you, like you can't just sit and wait for things to happen. Like regardless of where we stand, because it's a bummer that this is so political, like versus like just people just getting together and working together. But
exactly,
you just gotta figure out like what. Almost like look out for you and your family. Like what is going to help me be even better off when this is over than I am right now when this started or when I'm in the middle of this, because it could be around forever. And it's like, you can't sit around forever.
Exactly. No, you hit it right on the head. So yeah, just, okay. So then moving on, like, just so we can get through the question and everything like that, I would say like, how do you ethnically identify, or like, what's like your ethnic identification?
Like ethnicity wise?
Yeah.
So being from Germany, I don't know how it is in England. Like I was never asked that question for anything.
Only in America.
Fill out on a form is like race. And like, why does it matter? Like,
why is it? No.
Yeah. Like we should all just accept each other and love each other for who we are. But like I like to really embrace like all parts of my family. So like I'm German first because I was born in Germany and that's my first language. My dad is from Peru, so I really embrace the Latin and Peruvian side. Peru has a really beautiful, amazing culture. But my dad's side of the family is all black. Like my great grandmother is Jamaican, and
oh wow.
If you saw my grandfather, I mean he's black also.
Yeah.
Like my grandfather's parents were you see, the mom was Jamaican and the dad was Latino. So he's like that. When you go to South America, you see like the Latin black like people, like they have like a little bit of a different look. So that's like what it looks like. Like you look at him, you can tell he's Latino, but his skin's black.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'm really connected to all three of those cultures, which is
Yeah.
weird to look at me because like I feel like Latinos look at me and think I'm white, and white people look at me and think I'm Latino.
Yeah. Do you speak Spanish at all? Or are you
Little bit basics.
okay? Yeah. That's crazy. That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah. No, that's one of the things too. Like even over here, like there's sometimes I just put like prefer not to say. It's just like you can tell by my name, like, but it's just no, I definitely understand where you're coming from. But yeah. Okay, so the next question would be, okay, so how do you identify ethnically the majority of people you work with during your time, like in the recording industry, through like concert building, promoting and stuff like that?
The music industry, it's definitely, it's evolved since when I started, but it was definitely very white male dominated for a very, very long time. And especially on I guess the business executive level, like artist wise, I've dealt with a lot in the hip hop world. So I feel like a lot of people that I dealt with day-to-day basis were Black and Latino. Latinos are big in the hip hop world as well. So that's what, and then I also did like Latin nights at House of Blues. So like I was like a big Latin crowd. We did a weekly New Orleans. They have this music. It's awesome. It's so good. I'm bummed that's not more well known. But have you ever heard of Bounce?
Bounce. I don't think I've heard of them or heard of that.
So Bounce is a genre that like.
Oh wait, yeah, New Orleans. Yeah. Drake did what was it? Nice for What? Like that whole style. Who is the person he sampled? Who did he sample on that song?
And what's the girl that's really popular right now?
Yeah, I know Bounce. Yeah. Oh my, there's a couple.
Big Frida is a big artist in Bounce too. She's like biggest artist. But we did a Bounce night every Sunday, and it was cool because it was like very.
It's dope.
I related to like old school booty music, like Uncle Luke and 69 Boys, 95 South. I don't know if you know any of those.
Yeah. Was this in Orlando or New Orleans?
That was New Orleans.
Okay, yeah. Would you ever do something like that in Orlando to kind of see like what sort of crowd you would get?
It'd be fun to try. We need the right artist. To be an Orlando-based artist, I think we need to bring in someone from New Orleans. So the guy we had from New Orleans was DJ Papa, was his name. The event called Papa's Party House. It'd be awesome to bring him to Orlando. I don't know if he would bring a crowd out.
Man, oh my gosh.
The New Orleans Bounce night with DJ Papa.
That's my friend. So my friend, he's a man. Oh, sorry.
Maybe if we added Manny Fresh to it, that just has some like name recognition. Because he's like, based in New Orleans too, and he's friends with Papa.
Yeah, that would be insane. I know, like even my mom would be like, "Oh, yeah." My friend, you said the what?
A lot of booty shaking.
Oh yeah, I know. That's crazy. My friend, he manages at Eden Lounge, the new bar downtown. Eden Lounge. He's a manager there, so I know they like are always bringing in or trying to do like certain theme nights and stuff. But yeah, that would be lit, man. Even I'd have to pop out for that one, So
yeah, to answer your question directly, I think the industry as an overall was very like white male dominated. I think now I'm dealing more and more with women than ever before, which is great to see. Like women in like executive positions. And it's starting to get more diverse too. I definitely still think it's still like a little heavy, like white leaning industry.
Yeah. Is that like mainly when you're dealing with like the people like higher up positions and everything like that? That was where you kind of say it's really like white male dominated in terms of like trying to like book shows and everything.
When you talk about like managers, agents, record label executives, like the VPs and the presidents, like once you start getting, when you start getting to like the assistants and the interns and I don't know all the other positions, the junior buyers and the marketing people, then it gets a little more diverse. But like on the executive level, definitely it could still use a lot more shaking up. Yeah.
So then going into the next question, like what would you say are general thoughts on just like, especially because like last year with like a lot of like the Black Lives Matter stuff and everything, and like a lot of different artists were coming out and speaking about like their experiences in the industry, and like in the past, there's people like Little Richard and people like that have been completely taken advantage of as like Black artists. But like, how do you view like the role of like ethics and leadership in terms of like labels and like the sort of means that they're doing to be able to control like a lot of different like minority, like Black artists and everything? If you notice there's a significant difference, will be my question. So just to repeat, like, how do you view the role of ethics and leadership in the sort of maltreatment of like of minority Black artists if there's a big gap?
I think it's improving, but not fast enough. There's so many like young Black artists, especially hip hop world, being taken advantage of. So, you know, it's tough, and it's not saying that all Black hip hop artists come from like lesser fortunate neighborhoods, but like those that do, and there's quite a bit that do. Like, I mean, a giant percentage. And having worked with those kids, like if you grew up in Orlando, if you grew up in an area like Paramore, and that's like your entire existence and your entire life, and all of a sudden someone comes and waves $1 million check in front of you, and you've been wanting music all your life, you can give a shit what that 30-page contract says. Like, you're just gonna sign it because like, yeah, I'm gonna take $1 million. I'm gonna take care of my family, my friends. I'm gonna get out of this neighborhood. I'm gonna create a better life for myself. And before you know it, like, they don't even read the fine print, and they don't even have to ever release a song. Like, a label could sign you and never spend a dime on you and just shelve you. And really, they do that with, I think, 85% of artists that they sign. Like 85% of artists, I think that's what the stat is in Ari's book. Ari Herstand. I know Chuck uses that book, but I think that's a stat he had. It's an insane high number of artists whose music never even gets released, and then they're just shelved. And they're just sitting there, and then they're sitting there not releasing music, getting angry and getting frustrated with the industry, and maybe never do music ever again, when they have so much potential and so much talent. So I feel like there needs to be a lot more resources and services, and just for all artists, like especially artists that come from lower income families or single family homes. Because, man, it's disgusting how the industry takes advantage of people. Like we're all dollar signs to everyone, and that needs to change so badly. The way I do contracts is, and I get it. Like, when you're dealing with intellectual property, like, you have to protect yourself. But when a contract's 30, 40, 50 pages, like, why? What are you trying to hide? Like my management contract is a 2-page deal, but really, I tell artists, I don't even give a shit if you sign it. Like, shake my hand and we're done. Like,
transparent. It's transparent, and that's one thing I've been
it's month to month too. What I do, like, so if I don't do a good job, you can get rid of me anytime you want, and if I do a great job, then I never have to worry. And that's like the whole like Gordon mentality. I don't know if you guys talked about Chef Gordon, but his deals with his artists was a handshake, and he said, with the handshake and no contract, there's 2 things. 1, I always have to work hard for my artist. 2, I always have to be honest with my artist, because if I ever lie to them, they're gonna get rid of me, and if I ever don't work hard, they're gonna get rid of me.
It's literally that's the common theme. I'm trying to blank out, obviously Dr. Archard, but then Patrice, her name was Patrice Cope. I'm blanking on her name. She's a manager too, but that was the one thing I've been hearing from everybody I've been talking to is transparency, especially through a lot of these contracts. And like, it's funny, I was listening to I was watching T-Pain. He was like on like IG Live and stuff, and he was breaking down everything, like in terms of like royalty splits. Like, he said that he got offered he was offered by, I forgot the record label, for his single for I'm Sprung in 2005. He was offered $900,000 for that one single from the sign to that label. But then he said that Akon offered him $20,000 to have a career, to like sign to the label and have a career. He said he took the Akon $20,000, not even less than a month, paid it back. He said if he would have signed for the $900,000 just for that single, never been able to release music, would still be paying it off to this day. And like, that to me was just like, I mean, it set off sparks, just in terms of how everything works.
I have a good friend in New Orleans. I should probably connect you with him, because he used to play basketball in Europe also, and is an artist. And I think he's being offered like a $1 million deal right now. And I'm just like, dude, like, I know this sounds exciting and you want to sign it so bad, and like someone throwing that kind of money at you, but like, this comes out of a place of love, but you have nothing going on. Like, you don't have a single on Spotify that's generating thousands of streams. You don't have 1 million followers on Instagram or a YouTube channel that's blowing up. Like, why are they offering you that kind of money? Like I would ask questions, because do they have intent to release any of your music, or are they just trying to like block you from being competition?
No, that's Wait, what was the other thing you said? Block him from competition?
I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's a thing. Like, maybe they're just trying to sign someone so like nobody else could sign them, but they really have no intention of doing anything with him.
And that speaks to, imagine being a label and you're just throwing $1 million at someone just for some unknown reason to whatever. It's like, imagine how much money they're really making to be able to just throw away $1 million like that. Like, yeah. I can't even fathom. Somebody else was releasing a video and like, it's crazy because you're saying, yeah, the same person, obviously it's Warner, Sony, and Universal, but I'm pretty sure they said that somebody's about to buy someone, so there's gonna be 2 now. But really? Yeah, that's what Dr. Archer was telling me. He said, I think somebody's buying Warner or something like that. But the thing is, like, these
under out of the 3.
Exactly. And these companies, like, they own, like, I'm pretty sure like one of them had like a stake in Billboard, another one has like a stake in whatever. So it's like the subsidiaries of these companies. So it's all interconnected. So that's why when I was listening to the T-Pain video, he's like, yeah, like they buy the streams, they buy all of that. And so the streams and everything, the numbers aren't real. He says, right. We got to get it back to the music, because the business side of things, unless you're doing it by yourself, then a lot of stuff is going to be skewed through numbers, through deals, through like, you know, like white executives that own everything. Like that's something that just really jumped out to me.
Yeah, I'd love to figure out how to reach more, like, just not just like Black artists, but like minority artists in period that are trying to make it and are being offered these deals. You know, because like another big issue is they see this giant contract, they don't know what any of it means because it's written in this stupid legalese, and then they think, oh, lawyers are expensive, I can't afford to hire a lawyer. And sure, sometimes the label will pay for a lawyer, but it's like
that's their lawyer usually. So then, so then you'll end up getting screwed. Yeah.
So it's like, I wish there were more services that were more well known. There's this woman named Wendy Day. I don't know if you know her, but or know
her name?
Wendy Day, and she's doing some really, really cool things where she's getting lawyers to give artists like free advice in hip hop. But that needs to be bigger. Like I should probably, now that I said that, I should probably reach out to her and figure out how, because like most artists don't know who she is. Like people need to know who Wendy Day is and what she's doing, and there needs to be more Wendy Days in the world.
Yeah, and things, I was talking with Dr. Archer, like there's so many resources. I mean, he was kind of saying like at this point, he's like, there's so many resources out there that like, if you're signing these deals and everything like that, like shame on you. And like I do see that, but like my thing is that's part of like why I wanted to do this project, because it's just like I just feel like there's like there just needs to be more of a light shown on just like the sort of stuff that's going on. And my thing is I do management, so like it has like academically, it's like it has like a lot of like management theories and stuff like that we're not kind of discussing, but like yeah, I just feel like there needs to be like more of a light on it and everything, because like it's just like ownership, especially if you're somebody that's a creative, is so crucial. It's not in life in terms of business and everything, but being an artist and owning that creative, you know, intellectual property and it's.
I would challenge Chuck Archer on it a little bit. Like, yes, there is a lot of resources, and it's kind of yeah, you can look at it like, yeah, it's kind of on you if you don't educate yourself, but some people just don't grow up that way, like where they are automatically trying to always educate themselves, right? Because of the upbringing they have. I mean, if you are growing up in a single family home and your one parent is never there because they're always working and they're trying to provide, and you're just at home by yourself and trying to figure out what to eat, maybe like, you know, some kids,
eat. That's the least of your worries.
You know, weekends, like they're just trying to figure out how to survive. And then as they're trying to figure out how to survive, not all the kids in less fortunate neighborhoods, but they tend to go towards things that aren't going to be as productive for them. And you know, it's not always crimes, like, but it's like something that's not going to really educate them and learn about the industry. Like they need to know that stuff exists, because the reason I went pre-med is because I didn't know a career, a kid growing up in Germany, I didn't know a career in the music industry was a real thing. Like I thought it was a fantasy thing of people that grew up in LA and New York. And then when I went to school here, and like there was no music business programs when I went to school, like that's all happening now. That's brand new in the last like 5 or 10 years. But when I was going to school, it didn't exist. So I was like, all right, I'm going to medical school because that's what my parents want me to do. They want me to be a doctor or a lawyer because I'm going to build a better life for myself. Yeah. And then I stumbled across just doing these local shows because I've just been going to local shows for so many years. But
no, it's amazing. Yeah. So I feel like we kind of already adjusted just your general thoughts on the nature of the industry. Yeah, so we can kind of skip over that, but if you want to, so the next question was like, what are your thoughts on the nature of the industry and the power that labels have had throughout time to determine a Black artist's career? If you just want to touch on that, I feel like we kind of have.
I have some additional things on that. So would it be a digital world, like as you asked me earlier, like how the promoters and venues have to pivot? Artists can pivot and really build a business online. Like you really do not need a label. Like labels should be chasing you as an artist because you have so much to offer. But you can, like as we talked about earlier, you can build a middle-class income as an artist. Not easy, but it takes hard work, but it can be easy if you work hard and you have talent. And hard work and hustle can outwork talent. So if you're talented, you're not doing anything, and there's another guy that's like grinding every day to trying to get better and trying to figure out how to, figure out their flow better or their cadence and figure out how to hit different notes and how to write better verses and just lyrics and work with others. Like they're gonna succeed no matter what. And if as long as they're doing everything smart and they surround themselves with the right people, they're gonna be successful. I think what needs to happen is there needs to be more organizations and people going to those neighborhoods and going maybe to the youth centers and talking to the kids. And there's a youth center that I would really love to go to here in Orlando. I need to find someone to go with me, to like an artist. But I want to go there and just talk to the kids that are into music, because I know there's kids there that are into music. A lot of kids there are into music, and just see where their heads at and figure out how they can. And see what kind of resources they have and help them out and show them that there's ways they can do it all on their own, all online with the right team, the right people, and they don't need to sign over everything for a fake dream.
Yeah, I wish you the best of luck. Have you ever thought of like Boys and Girls Club, or was that one of who are you thinking of going to?
That would actually be a good one. I just drove by a Boys and Girls Club today.
Yeah.
I was like, they're right by my house. I'm like, I should volunteer there.
My friend, he literally, I'll double check, but my friend, I think is on the board at, I forgot which one, but I could send you his information if you'd like. But yeah, he's on the board for I forgot what center it was, but he works like pretty frequently with them.
Maybe do like a music seminar for them.
He actually he manages also my other friend, my old teammate, who's actually an independent artist in Orlando. But that's incredible. The thing I was gonna say too is like, you said like interest earlier. It's funny. So my senior year, like I like started DJing. Like my friend and I, we like bought our own like little board, and like we weren't like nothing like crazy and stuff, but we do like house parties and stuff just to have fun because it was an interest. Like we spend like an hour a week outside of practice just messing around and stuff like that, and that's why I like love like kind of hearing like you talk about this stuff, because like that's the type of stuff that keeps you like it wakes you up in the morning, the stuff that keeps you driving. You find a sense of purpose and everything. So
you would DJ at house parties?
Yeah, I was doing like house parties. I did a wedding. I did like some grand openings for my school. Actually, I brought my board out here. I did like a grand opening I did like a tailgate side of barbecue for like my college out here. Like nothing crazy, but like just like I like spinning music. Like, I mean, I feel like I'm pretty in touch with like what's popular, what can get people dancing and stuff. So I was just like doing stuff like that and everything, just having fun. So
when you did house party, did you were you doing it just for fun, or did you make money doing that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're definitely we like starting our own business and everything. We're definitely making money off of it because we had to pay back for the board and stuff. So like, but I mean, a lot of the times too, like people would be like, hey, like, can you do my house party? Like, you can have like a bottle, and I'll be like, yeah, sure. It's just like fun for me, So do it for free, do it for whatever.
That's one of those things, right? Artists you don't have to go perform at a club. Like go perform at someone's house. And like I would say, like house concerts or house shows, it doesn't need to be like, there's a stigma that like only singer-songwriters can go do house shows. I'm like, no, dude, like it can be DJs, it can be rappers. I mean, even metal bands. Like I've seen so many metal bands do garage tours, like where they're playing in garage.
That's dope. I haven't heard of that. Yeah. I feel like that's like something off a movie. Wow. Yeah. No, there's definitely like a lot of ways. It's like, well, I love like I'm like learning more about it, just like the music, because there's so many creative outlets for you to get out there and do your thing. Like we did a show in Orlando. It was for like up and coming artists. And so we like DJ like their sets and stuff. And like, it was just dope seeing like a lot of those artists coming together and being like, hey, like I've been doing this for a year and everything like that. Like, let's like collaborate. Let's do like, it was just super dope to seeing all of that and stuff. So
cool. Yeah. And that's one of the big brand pillars I always tell people about, like collaborations. You got to collaborate with others so you can make things happen. That's so cool.
Yeah. No, you hit it on the head. So then the next thing I'd ask is, I mean, we kind of already touched on this, but what are some of the ways that you're aware of that labels have used to limit the careers of Black artists?
Say it again.
What are some of the ways that labels have used to limit the careers of Black artists?
I think just empty promises and not ever releasing their music, and shelving the artists. I think that's the biggest thing, and not letting them out of their contracts easily. Like, I feel like there should be a clause in the contract. I mean, actually there is. It's funny. So, do you remember when Kanye posted his contract?
Yeah, that's my favorite artist. So even though he's a nut, yeah.
So I retweeted one of his tweets, and I was like, "Thank you, Kanye, so much for his educational gold." And some idiot idiot troll ripped me like, "Nothing about Kanye is educational." Blah blah blah. I'm like, you just released 140 pages worth. Yeah,
and that's unknown of. Like, you don't get contracts like that.
I was like, he just released 140 pages of his contract. Like, if you don't think that is an educational resource, if you're trying to learn about this business, then you have no idea what you're talking about. And I do a whole class. Like, my class has to read. So I take one of his contracts. I think it's a 30-page contract. His second contract with Rockefeller, right? That's who he was with.
Yeah. Yep.
It was a second contract, and my class has to read it. And one thing that really stands out to everyone is the whole delaying the release, right? So let's say you sign with the label, and in that clause was you have to deliver the album within a year, and then the label has up to a year to release it. But if they don't intend to, so that's 2 years already, and you haven't released it yet. And if they haven't released the album yet after a year, you can write them a letter like saying, "Hey, you haven't released this album yet. What's happening with it?" Once you do that, they have, I think it's 90 days to respond. And then if they don't respond, then you have to write them another letter, and then they get another 90 days to respond. So it just keeps delaying. Like, it's an endless delay, and it's like almost, I think it's like almost 3 to 4 years worth of delaying added into the language of that contract. And it's like, if I write an album today, and it's like, very relevant to the current times, and it's very meaningful to me, and then in 3 or 4 years from now, the label finally wants to release it, like, the label's gonna look at it too, because they're gonna look at it from a business standpoint. They're like, "Oh, like, you did an album about lockdowns and surviving through lockdowns, blah blah." Like, it's not relevant to the times anymore, so they didn't ever release it.
Exactly. And the thing is, like, when they do that and everything, it's like, okay, we're gonna lock you down, no pun intended. Yeah. But then, okay, you're gonna release your album, but like, let's say, like, you're writing. It's funny. I'm a Jay-Z is also like one of my favorite artists, but J. Cole, he mentioned he has in a song, he's like a lot of these artists only get hot because they're riding trends. So let's say you wrote a trend, so now that trend's over. 3 years later, release the album, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have to market it, they don't have to push that and distribute it. So now you're locked into, like, it's just it's crazy.
And then they spend, like, you have no control on how the marketing is spent. And there's so many amazing resources these days on how to market yourself as an artist. I mean, you should be smarter than the label's marketing department, because really the label's marketing department is not that smart. And like, they're not very forward thinking. They're very old school, traditional. They're like, maybe, and the other thing, who was it? You know who Bob Lefsetz is?
What are their names?
Bob Lefsetz. He's a lawyer, and he's a blog and a podcast. So he wrote this interesting blog post, and the manager from Chainsmokers challenged it a little bit, but not completely challenged it. But it was about how the music industry is not necessarily like the best and the brightest in the world. Like, the best and the brightest in the world are going to go for the engineering degrees, and for their lawyers, their doctors, their like really high paying, like, well respected careers. So, like, when it comes to marketing departments, like, is the best marketer in the world going to work for the music industry, or are they going to be working in an industry where they probably get paid what they're actually worth? Because I know what marketers get paid for Live Nation and AEG, and I'm sure they don't get paid much more to be at a label. And I know there's marketers out there that are getting 10 to 20 times as much as what those companies are paying. So, like, who's going to be a better marketer? The one working for 50 to 75 grand a year, or the one that's working for $500,000 to $1 million a year? Probably the latter, right? So it's like, you're not going to have the best marketers. So, like, we're just, and I knew some of the marketers like that I've worked with in the past, like, yeah, they were like advanced above the average person, like as far as like social media and digital marketing skills, but they were not the most advanced I've known. Like I would listen to Gary Vee, and I would like learn way more from him than I would learn from these marketers. And like, and just one example, it's funny, I just got a text message from Gary Vee, not him actually, like I'm part of his community.
Yeah.
But one big thing I noticed, I looked at some old settlements for one of the companies I worked for, and the average cost per click on their digital marketing campaigns on Facebook and Instagram was between 40 and 60 cents per click. Now, to give you some perspective, when I run ads, my cost per click is under 10 cents. So like it costs them 4 to 6 times as much to run an ad than it costs me as a manager. So like I know when my artists are at the level where they're potentially working with AGs and Live Nations, I'm going to want to handle the marketing. I don't want their marketing department to even touch that. And if knowing that those marketing departments are at that level, I don't even want to know what the labels marketing departments are at. So, when you're saying like they're buying fake streams, that's one of their strategies. Like they run ads to get real streams, but then they pad it with fake streams as well to kind of boost it up real quick. But not enough to mess up their algorithm, right? Because when you go on Spotify, you have like similar artists, and if you buy fake streams, so the way someone's bought nothing but fake streams is when you look at their similar artists, and let's say it's a hip hop artist, and like in there is like a rock artist and a metal artist, or another hip hop artist has nothing to do with them, right? Because those are other people that bought fake streams. So you just get paired with similar artists that bought fake streams, not with actual fans. So the labels buy fake streams, but they still spend so much more to get real streams that it's just like an extra boost with the stimulate the algorithm, but still the similar artists are still relevant because they spend so much more on real streams as well. But yeah, there's definitely fake streams in there, but it's like, if you have control of all your marketing dollars, don't you want nothing but real streams?
Yeah.
And maybe nothing but streams that might convert to getting people on your email list or your texting list. Like, now I got that text message I got just from Gary Vee just now is through his texting platform called Community. It's not his, but it's a platform he uses called Community. And artists can utilize Community and email capturing and build such a more powerful business by being in control of their own marketing.
That is crazy. I did not know it was that deep like that.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I did not. Wow. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely gonna write that down. I have this recorded too, so I'll go back and double check on that. Yeah. Wow. I did not know that. Yeah, I don't really go on about like it doesn't really touch on like that in like the paper, but I definitely, I just love talking about this with people. So like, that's definitely something I'm gonna bring up when I'm discussing everything. So thank you for that.
Imagine it would start paying marketers 150 grand a year. Imagine the quality of marketers you would start getting.
Yeah, no, exactly. Especially, yeah,
stronger.
Even just studying marketing now, like it's funny because like a lot of my peers and everything like that, they'll take like marketing jobs without like, and they won't do marketing and stuff. And like, I just do it because I feel like it was going to be like fun to study, but like in reality, like, yeah, anybody could do it, but like, it takes someone, you really got to be creative and think outside the box to really be effective, I think, in terms of like me having a career. But yeah.
Unfortunately, when it comes to the marketing, that's a great direction to go, right? So it's good to have some marketing experience because like most of the jobs and opportunities in the music industry are in marketing and finance. And I feel like having a background in one of those two is going to be a really, really big key to being successful. And the unfortunate part, and it hurts to say as a professor, but like getting a marketing degree, yes, that's your barrier to entry, but it doesn't mean you're good. Like, you don't learn how to build multi-level digital marketing campaigns in college. You learn that by buying that $1,000 or $2,000 course from some entrepreneur afterwards. Yeah. But what I try to do, like my teaching philosophy is I do real life education. Like I don't do any, like I tell students on day one, like you're not going to learn any philosophy, no theory, no history. I'm sorry, if you want to learn that stuff, I can point you in the right directions to learn it. But I want you to walk out of every single class being able to apply something to your personal career or to work with career that day. And if you can't do that, then I'm failing as a teacher.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir, literally. Like that's my issue with the school. I mean, it's kind of off top. Like that's my issue with school in general. It's like you don't really learn. Like even like when I was getting my MBA and stuff, it's like, okay, yeah, this is cool and stuff. Like a lot. I don't even remember half the theories and NBA stuff like that. I know so many entrepreneurs that don't have degrees, but my thing is like you got to be able to take stuff and apply that in real life or whatever. And you usually just do that by doing, not sitting here like learning a bunch of books and stuff. That's why it's like it's been hard for me this past year, especially with everything online, to really lock into these classes. So I'm just like, I'm not using this. Like I've taken a lot of the concepts and like a lot of business ideas that I have, I've applied them, maybe like journaled about them and stuff. But like, yeah, it's just like a lot of it is like you do it by doing. I mean, you make mistakes, you know what I'm saying? When you fail, it's not permanent. Success isn't permanent, failure isn't permanent. You fail, you bounce back up, you learn, you do it even better next time. You know what I'm saying? You keep on going from there. And like that's like I feel like that's my issue with the school system, but that's that's a whole other conversation. But
not to quote Gary Vee again, but he always says you learn by becoming a practitioner. So like by doing, like you learn it the right way from the right coaches and the right teachers, and then you go apply it. Because if you just have the knowledge and don't ever apply it, then you're not going to learn. Like I've learned Facebook ads for a long time. I've never really applied it at like a large scale. And now, like getting to spend thousands of dollars a month on Facebook and Instagram, on YouTube, and figuring out how to really dial in those campaigns and perfect those campaigns. Like I've learned so much more now to actually doing it than from learning it. Like I'm even like now, going back to some of the courses that I've learned from, and am changing some of their philosophies in the way I teach. Like they will teach certain strategies, and I find ways to do it even better. And you only learn a practitioner by experimenting. Like a practitioner is someone that experiments and tests things. Someone that literally just like builds the ad and hits go and puts an end date, they don't learn anything. Unless you're analyzing the data and you're almost like OCD about like, how do I get my cost per click lower? How do I get my 75% video view rate lower? Like, how do I get my click-through rate higher? Like, if you're not obsessing about those data points, then you're not a practitioner.
Yeah. No, you hit it right in the head. You are preaching to the choir, trust me. So yeah, just to get back like on the topic and everything like that. Yeah. So what are some changes you would implement if you were put in charge of a major label or representing you represent newly signed artists, but what are some of the changes that you would implement if put in charge of a major label? Just like based off like the issues we discussed and everything like that, like just some thoughts, like some of the changes you would make.
Some changes I made. So I
kind of already touched on it too, but yeah.
Well, so like you have to think about it. If I'm being put in charge of a label, it's obviously because they trust me to manage that business well, right? So I can't just go in and turn the business upside down and out like, oh no, we're gonna lose all our money because Chris is no longer doing contract with artists. I think what I would do differently is the transparency part. I would first off offer the artists educational resources where they can learn and talk to someone. And I would try the best I could to not develop a relationship with those resources. So I'm not a biased person, right? So let's say I was in charge of Universal and Wendy Day like reached out. I'd be like, yo, you're doing amazing and awesome things. And just to avoid any conflict of interest, we probably shouldn't build a relationship, but I'm going to send all my artists to you anyway. Because you tell them the truth. But the second you start liking me and you become really close with me, are you still going to be as honest and truthful to the artists that you barely know because you want to protect your relationship with me? So I would like almost not build a relationship with those resources and give those resources to the artists. Second thing, and this is where the label would probably hate me a little bit, but I need to give the artist an out. I mean, if you're going to give someone $1 million and not ever release any of their music, that means you're also not making any music. So what's the point of hanging on to their career? Let them do their thing. Like I would almost add pressure to my team. Like tell them once the artist delivers you an album, you have to give them a release date within 30 days or even 2 weeks. Give them a real release date. Look at our calendar. Look at the other labels' calendars. So we're, because like part of the reason albums get delayed, like let's say you're a new artist that just got signed by a major label and they want to release it in November, but Drake's releasing in November, and then the week after that is Nicki Minaj, and the week after that is whoever, like Jay-Z. Like there's too much competition. We're not going to try to like compete with all that competition, but it's like, there's more than one. They call the charts the top 20 or the top 100. Like we don't have to chart number one. Like just give your new artist a chance to chart. Period. Like if they come in at 50, great. Like next time let's try coming at 45 and then at 40. Like let's get better every time, but don't stop shelving these artists. And the other thing I would add where a label will probably hate me as well. Like some of the best and most important investments are, like you can invest money, you can buy stocks, you can buy crypto, you could buy real estate, but intellectual property is also a really important investment because intellectual property can generate money. So I understand the argument of the label taking all the risk and all the chance, and that's why they own the master. But if you want to be the best label, you want to attract the best artists, right? And the hardest working artists. And you're only going to do that if you give them the best deals. So what I would do is I would offer a clause where the artist can do a few different things. Either earn co-ownership of their master. So if the music generates a certain amount of revenue, now you become a co-owner of the master. Then I would also add a clause that gives the artist first right of refusal to buy their masters. Like if I'm selling the masters, the artist should have first dibs. So let's say Scooter Braun comes along and wants to buy Taylor Swift's entire catalog.
Yeah.
But let's say he paid $1 billion for a catalog, right? If Taylor comes to the table and says, "Here's $1 billion," then all right,
it goes to yeah.
It's first dibs. It's
Yeah.
music. So part ownership. Being able to buy back their masters, and maybe even if it is a younger artist that doesn't earn their masters back, still giving them an opportunity to buy them back somehow. Like maybe there's some kind of rate, like maybe you pay back the rest of your advance and plus a percentage because we spent that money, right? So we need to make something off of it, and since we haven't really made anything off of it yet, you should get a part of that back. And what else? I feel like there's so much will change, but for starters is giving them a release date or releasing them and letting them keep whatever they created. Like if I spend $1 million to create their music and never release it, I lost that $1 million regardless, whether I let the artist go or I just shelve them. So it's better to let them go. Maybe even say, hey, we can go, but we're gonna own 50% of your masters until you pay it back. But we're letting you go. So at least that way, let's say the artist does their own thing and they work super hard and all of a sudden they blow up and the next album they get signed by a label, fans are gonna listen to that first album. So like I have to at least earn my money back and still make something back. So I think the two big changes I would make. There's probably a lot.
But that's just I mean, I'm sure that in itself would well, I mean, based on the industry now, I'm sure they'd like go be quick, but at the same time, I'm sure you'd help a lot of artists out, But yeah, no, that's amazing. And actually, the intellectual property was something that I was really tapped into in the paper, especially just like the nature of like intellectual property. It gets because as like a creative. Like, and I don't want to get too much on this, but as like a creative intellectual property, it's not tangible.
Right.
So it gets hard to really protect when you talk about, especially like when we go back like mid 20th century and everything like that. A lot of these artists, especially Black artists, they have intellectual property, but they couldn't necessarily like protect it because it wasn't tangible. And then the label or somebody else gets a hold of it. And it just got really difficult from there and everything. So that's definitely a point that I've noted in here in terms of like, I mean.
The other thing too is like, I am a firm believer of true success. Like it's not a financial number. Like true success comes from when you give a lot to the world, right? The more you give, like the more you offer your time, your money, be fair to people, treat people kindly and fairly, the more successful you're going to be, And it's not always monetarily, but it's this kind of success where you never have to worry about money. At least like if I can't make rent, I feel like there's going to be someone that looks out for me because I've put a lot of good into the world. And that's success, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know, pandemic comes, I lose my job and lose my house and lose everything. I feel like I have somewhere to stay and someone will feed me and someone will take care of my family. Like that's success, I think. Like, success to me is not having to worry about the pressures and the stressors of the world. And not to be morbid and use Gary Vee again, but he always says he's going to measure success by how many people show up at your funeral, not how much money.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm actually writing that down. Yeah,
like how many lives do you impact? That's success, not how many lives.
Yeah, no, I mean that taps. Yeah, I mean that's less. My favorite athlete of all time, my idol is like Kobe Bryant. And like one of the things he says is like the dream is like the people that you impact along the way because like he's like you don't know who you're gonna inspire along the way, and like that's the thing. Like when you, at the end of the day, like my thing is like if you acquire whatever amount of success for yourself but don't do anything for anybody else, like what was the point of you succeeding? Like, you know, that's like, yes, that's definitely, I definitely am in full agreement with that. But just so we keep things going and everything like that, just so I don't like take too much of your time. Unless you had anything to add on that. Sorry.
No, it's just one fun conversation. I'm enjoying it.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say Kobe is I mean, I obviously never met the guy. I don't know how he really is in real life, but he strikes me as the kind of guy that is that what we're talking about, like just a good person, like treats people right, tries to put good into the world. It's unfortunate that what happened last year, but
yeah,
like very unfortunate, especially since he seems like such a good dude and such a family
yeah.
guy.
No, it was yeah, I didn't even, it hit me hard. I mean, that's like the whole reason I really like stuck with basketball was because of him. And like, so it's like, yeah, it was all those families and everything like that was like heartbreaking. So I mean, but so like just back to topics, like how do you think labels are going to respond? There's only two left. How do you think labels are going to respond to the pressure of a more inclusive and equitable environment in the near future?
I think they'll adopt. I hope. So not just to be a little bit transparent, I'm very like libertarian. So I would not want to see laws that force businesses and people to do that. I would rather artists and fans speak out and use their voices. So I would rather see artists and people to use their voices more and unite more and work together to add pressure to labels to be more diverse, right, and to have more inclusivity versus laws coming along and forcing them by law. Because if a beautiful thing that's happening right now is the minimum wage thing. Like I personally, being libertarian, I don't believe the government should tell anyone what they need to pay people. But if people work together and they say, I am no longer working for under $15 an hour, guess what? Companies are going to start offering $15 an hour, and you're seeing it right now. I mean, shoot, it's so crazy. Like I drive by Chipotle and they're offering like a $500 sign-on bonus. Like the second you sign, here's $500. Or
I work for them, yeah.
or pay for your college. Like,
yeah,
that's awesome. Like, and that didn't come from government. I mean, I guess technically there's a little bit of pressure, like with the lockdowns and shutdowns and giving people money. So there is a little governmental pressure to make it happen. But if that would have happened with zero governmental pressure, that would have been beautiful, because that's people working together as a society, and I think that's what needs to happen. Like artists need to stop being afraid of their labels dropping them or upsetting their label executive. Like they need to look out for the next generation of artists and their peers. Like I think it's up to the artists and the managers and the assistants and the interns and people like you and I and the podcasters and the bloggers. Like all of them need to add pressure to the industry, add pressure to the labels, add pressure to Live Nation and AEG to be better to people and take care of people who are, I'm not saying that AEG and Live Nation doesn't, but like if people work together and that pressure gets created from the society, then companies are going to change.
Yeah. No, you hit it right in the head. I mean, you see that like, and some of it, you see, I mean, the past year, I mean, you see some of it's like fake change, but other companies have actually been making like a legitimate like dedication to, okay, how do we make it inclusive or whatever? Like how do we become more inclusive? What sort of communities can we involve ourselves in? Like how can we give back? So, I mean, yeah, and that's just like a lot of the protests and stuff. But yeah. So
you get social pressure. Like let's say there's like right down the road, right? Let's say there's two restaurants, and one restaurant doesn't allow gay people to come in, and the other one doesn't lets everybody come in. Like, who do you think's gonna lose business and suffer, and more likely go out of business? The one that is not inclusive, not adapting with the times, and the one that's not treating people well, right? So I think as long as there's more social awareness and people talking, things are going to change really fast, like much faster than you can pass laws. Like passing a law, I mean, you have to write a bill, and then you have to have lobbyists come in, and the bill changes, and then you have to try to put it through Congress and then through the Senate, and then I mean, months, years can go by for that real change to happen. Try to do it legally. So like, if people just band together, it can happen tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I had to run the head. So.
And I'm an optimist.
Yeah, no, you're touching on me. Trust me, I'm like in full like. I agree with everything. Yeah, with a lot of what you're saying and everything. So,
But the last thing I would say, just so we move on and everything like that, and this is kind of open-ended, but like, is there anything you want to add just generally about everything we talked about as it relates to pressure, from artists, like listeners? What is there anything you want to add into just anything we talked about at all? That's the last question. Then we can.
Is this something you're releasing, or you're just using the interview to write the paper?
I'm just using the interview. So like what I'm gonna do is I'm probably just gonna have a section like highlighting like who you are, like your experience and background, whatever like that, like shout you out and everything like that. And then pretty much like in the actual discussion part, I'm taking themes and like common themes from like every conversation I've had, like common traits in terms of like topics we've discussed, and then from there I'm going to be analyzing them from like an ethical, like sort of like management perspective, in terms of saying like we're like, yeah, it's like it's more that this other stuff we don't really talk about. It's just like kind of like conversation. I'm not like really releasing the video to anybody.
So the reason I asked you that is because I'm thinking about what I'm going to say.
This isn't go. Yeah, this is like staying between you and I.
Well, so I'm going to ask you maybe once we're done, I'll ask you if I can release it, but because it's been such a fun conversation. But the one thing I would add to all that is I would challenge people just to be good people, right? If you feel hate in your heart, or if you feel anger towards anyone, like, I mean, it can be even someone of the same race, or a group of people of the same race, or a different race, or gender identity, whatever. If you feel hatred or anger in your heart, and there's nothing wrong with you. It just probably has something to do genetically, with your upbringing, with something, like something unfortunate happened in that person's life to make them feel those emotions. And I would challenge them to figure out ways to change that. Figure out ways that they can go seek help to learn to be more accepting and appreciative of others. And it's not just a race thing. It's everything. Like, I mean, I don't want to go there, but like,
yeah.
Like, I'm not even talking to my brother right now about some COVID stuff, because we're disagreeing, and it's like I wish that he could find it in his heart to just like respect like how I feel and how my opinions are, right? I feel like the value of the individual is first, and if we can respect the individual, then we can learn how to respect ourselves and like anyone, and respect ourselves too. But like, yeah, I would challenge those people that feel those emotions to figure out how to change, because living with anger, living with hatred, living with negativity in your heart is not a good way to live. It's not a fun way to live. And there is a better way to live. There's a better way to live life. And when you're good to people and you're kind to people and you spread that to the world, like, you're going to start noticing a change inside yourself. Like, you're going to start noticing that you're just happier and you feel better and you start having better conversations and you start like loving others more. And I think that's what it's about. I think people need to just learn how to change.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. I mean, I've been speaking that for years, especially with just like a lot of like the nasty stuff that comes out. It's just like, damn, like if they're a good person, like that wouldn't have happened. Or even just like seeing like comments and stuff on Facebook. It's just like, you just generally have empathy, I feel like, for people. Then a lot of the crazy ass stuff or whatever like that just wouldn't really happen, So yeah.
And people aren't going to change if you force them to. If you force them with laws and regulations and threats, like, they're just going to suppress their anger, but it's going to grow. It's going to grow even more. And it's like, I would rather know, like, the whole like free speech thing. Like, I would rather know who the bad people are than not know. Like, I would rather know who's racist than not know, because like, if there's a law preventing someone like to like, I guess, preventing hate speech, or even like calling someone like, I mean, I don't have to get too deep into it, but like, if there's any kind of censored speech and that's forced, it's not going to make the problem go away. And what makes the problem go away is understanding people and loving people, offering other solutions. But laws are not going to make it better.
Yeah. So I mean, that's.
I mean, look at the countries that have these crazy laws. I mean, they have way more terrorists, way more anger, like way more everything. Like, we can't take freedom away from people.
Yeah. That's part of the reason why I wanted to like go like live in other places in the world, just so I can like really get a sense of just differences and like how our differences really aren't really differences. You know what I'm saying? And just the fact that we're all really connected in so many different ways. but also just like living in different countries and just like kind of everybody does different things differently, you know, just figuring out like what nobody has like this the one like this is perfect like one cure solution for like a perfectly ran country, but just like experiencing that has been like something that I really want to do, which is why I came over here and why I want to like travel around some more and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
but,
and most people around the world want the same things. I mean, they want to be able to provide for their families. They want to have a good place to live and be able to eat food they love and be able to love, you know, people and have someone to love and share their life with. Like most people want those same things, and they want to feel safe. Like most people want that.
Live the life you love.